Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hooty Hoo KSU Football Podcast. My name is Griffin Nichols. I am your host. Holy cow, do we have a lot to talk about. The Owls are Conference USA champions. That's right. The Owls go into Jax State, try to get hosed by the refs, which we'll talk about in a second, yet come out victorious over Jax State in the rematch from 3 weeks ago. And your Owls are Conference USA champions for the 2025 football year, which is incredible. So, a couple things about that game. The refs were ridiculous. Not only does Odom get in for a touchdown that they say that he's short on the 1 yard line, which I don't even know how that's possible. And going back and looking at the replay and everything, clearly he's in. The whistles have been blown. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous. However, we do get a safety on the ensuing drive with Jax State getting stuff in the end zone from the 1 yard line. Jax State kicks off. We're winning 12-0. Jax State kicks off, and we immediately fumbled the ball on the kick return, which was a remarkable fumble. Jax State goes down, scores. We go 3 and out. Jax State gets the ball back. They're driving, and there's another play, this false start that they didn't call, which Jax State scored on to make it 14-12. 15-12 because they win for 2, so 15-12. There's 2 players in motion that are moving before the ball is snapped, and they just completely miss it. The refs just completely miss it. And Jax State scores a touchdown, and the commentators are even like, how in the world did those refs miss that one? I mean, I already know about the, and they had brought up about the touchdown they said that Kennesaw State didn't get, but now that is crazy, and it really was rather crazy. Jax State scores 15-12 with about 2 minutes left in the game. Kennesaw State goes on a drive. I mean, just an incredible drive. And there's certain key plays. A lot of people... Okay, so there's a personal foul, and it becomes 1st and 25. So that's not easy. The very next play, there's a sack, and so now it's 2nd and 27. We don't get any... we don't get anything. Then there's a play where Christian Moss catches this ball and gets almost all the yardage back. He's about a yard short. 4th and 1. Amari Odom has been running to his right the entire game, and it seems like the defense has caught on to this, and they're now going to kind of play that right-hand side of the line. So what they do is, what Kennesaw State does is he drops back and rushes to the left and gets the first down. Barely gets the first down, and there's a penalty on that play as well as a late hit out of bounds. Kennesaw State 1st and goal. You're looking at about 30 seconds or so left, and there's just a remarkable play by Odom where he looks like he's about to run to try to score from around the 10-yard line, 12-yard line. He takes a couple steps forward like he's going to run and then changes his mind and throws it to a wide-open receiver in the end zone. Touchdown Owls. They end up winning the game 19-15, which is a bizarre score, but 19-15 was the final of that game. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, it really was. It was awesome to go in there and to play that well. And again, we talked about it that if Kennesaw State was able to play that game and just play clean and not turn the ball over, I thought that they were the better of the 2 teams. I thought we saw that in the game beforehand where Kennesaw State self-imploded, which is why they lost that game. The turnovers that Amari Odom had in that game, that first matchup, the 3 interceptions, all came within the 30-yard line of Jax State. So not only are you turning the ball over, but it's where you're turning the ball over, and also the potential of taking points off the board when you do those things. 1 turnover this game, which is the kickoff return, which did give Jax State life. But that's, other than that, it's pretty clean game. Amari Odom played really well. Again, he has got just a cannon. I mean, just a cannon. And do I have concerns about a bigger team coming and poaching him? I absolutely do, because he is definitely talented enough to play at really any level. There's some decision-making he has to mature on a little bit and not getting so pressed when he is making his decisions in big moments, but at the end of the day, he's a very talented player. 6'4", he can run it. He has an absolute cannon and very accurate. He is a great, great player. Coach Mack, there was a lot of rumors earlier this week about him going to South Florida. Apparently, that is not the case. So that is great news as well. So as it stands right now, you're looking at both of them coming back for next season. So who knows what's going to happen. We are not in portal season yet. That's in January, so we will see. Early recruiting period was this week as well, and I'll do an episode a little bit later in the week about that. I don't want to dive all that deep right now into recruiting just because we got so much more going on. So, as conference champs, I told you on Friday that there is a possibility, there is a way that Kennesaw State could get into the college football playoffs. However, one of those ways was that James Madison had to lose. They did not. Everything else worked out. Every single other part of that equation worked out, that Kennesaw State has one of the best records of those remaining, or those conference champions. But if James Madison would have been knocked out, I think Kennesaw State was a real possibility for being in the playoffs, actually, the way things all shook out, but not to be. And we do have the college football playoff preview, which I'll get into in a few moments. But first and foremost, our bowl game was just announced. We are going to be playing the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and we'll be playing against the MAC champions, Western Michigan. So that game is December the 19th. I believe that's a Friday at noon on that day. So that's when we'll be playing our bowl game. We'll break that game down as we get a little bit closer, but it looks like Western Michigan, just from what I can see on the outside, looks like a very similar team to Jax State as far as the running game goes. They do run the ball. They're not a big throwing team. Both the quarterback and the running back are the two leading rushers on that team. So a very similar game plan to what you've seen against Jax State. Now, the tricky part of that is that you would have to think that Western Michigan will use the tape from the Jax State game to figure out how Kennesaw State is going to defend such a run-heavy team and make some adjustments from that. So there's advantages and disadvantages, but basically you are preparing for a power running game, and we will see. We'll see how that works out. I would say, not to be a homer or anything like that, I think Kennesaw State is a better team than Western Michigan, but let me get into the tape a little bit, and we'll come back. We'll have that conversation as we get closer to the bowl game. Looking at the bigger picture of the world right now. So the college football playoff seeding has been released. I'm doing this podcast on Sunday, and it looks like you've got Indiana number 1, as they should be, Ohio State number 2, Georgia number 3, Texas Tech number 4. From there, you've got Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama, Miami, Tulane, and James Madison. I think I've got that right. I mean, those are the teams. I'm not sure about the order. So the big controversy is Notre Dame being left out in place of Miami. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. Head-to-head has to matter. It really does. And Miami should be in over Notre Dame if we have the same record, basically, and you beat them head-to-head. Yeah, I mean, common sense would tell you that you need to be in there. However, I think there's more at play than that as well, because if Miami doesn't get in, that means the ACC does not have a team represented in the college football playoffs. Duke beat Virginia last night. Great game, by the way. Maybe the best game other than Kennesaw State game. The Duke-Virginia game was the other really good game this past weekend. Ohio and Indiana was good too. But Duke won the ACC. That conference is a joke. But Miami will go in as a non-conference champion into the playoffs at 10-2. I guess I support that decision. I guess. I don't know. BYU's an interesting one just because they lost a conference championship game. It doesn't seem like any other conference championship game runners up were penalized for losing the conference championship game, but BYU was. So I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's I think with where we've gone with this sport is funny. I mean, years ago would have been Indiana versus Georgia, for national title, which would have been fine. A couple years ago, the four teams we would have seen would have been Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, and Texas Tech, which again, that'd have been fine. I don't have any issues against that. Now that we're at 12 teams, now it gets more controversial. I'm not sure about the group of five having two representatives in there, but the ACC is the ACC and it's their own fault. You'll hear different things online right now about the group of five should have their own playoff and blah, blah, blah. It is what it is at the end of the day. This is the system that we have right now. So if that's the system that we have right now, then this is what we have to deal with. And if you don't like it, then change it. I think one thing that no one's talking about, because what everybody's going to talk about is Notre Dame and Alabama. Alabama getting in as a 3-loss team and Notre Dame getting left out. But a couple things. One, Ohio State being at 2 is interesting to me because Georgia won the SEC and they're number 3 behind Ohio State, who now has the same record as Georgia, but is a conference runner-up. They didn't even win the Big Ten. Indiana won the Big Ten. So shouldn't Georgia be number 2 and Ohio State 3 if you're going to do it that way, or even 4? I just find it interesting that Ohio State really didn't drop anywhere. Now, it was a close game, don't get me wrong, but they still didn't win the conference championship. And the conference championship, if you win your conference, it should matter, right? I mean, so it just doesn't matter. I don't know. That one's real puzzling. The Alabama being left in, I mean, I hear you, that Notre Dame's been playing very well and Alabama's not been playing so great and got completely blasted yesterday against Georgia. 3 losses, one against Florida State, specifically where they got just blown out, just like they did yesterday by Georgia. I would have issues with Alabama over Notre Dame. I can see that. But again, if you're not going to punish anybody for for playing a conference championship game when a Notre Dame was sitting on their couch yesterday, then the Alabama thing makes sense. But then why isn't BYU in? Why isn't BYU in the playoff as well, since the only team they've lost to is Texas Tech? It just so happened they lost to them in the regular season and they lost to them in the conference championship game. So BYU definitely has some issues. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. Join a conference if it's that big of a deal to you. Don't schedule all the armed forces for your for part of your schedule and your home games. I mean, they play Boston College, Army, Navy, Air Force. I mean, give me a break. Listen, you will get very little sympathy from me with Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets in a lot of times when teams shouldn't get in. And again, if you're not going to play in a conference, you want to be an independent. Okay, well, here's the problem. Here's your problem. Join a conference like everybody else has to join a conference and get through that conference, and then you have a claim for the college football playoffs. Until that happens, I don't want to hear about it. That's my opinion. Now, what I do respect about Notre Dame, which is not a whole lot, but I do respect about Notre Dame, is that they are refusing to play a bowl game now that they've been left out because they feel like they've been snubbed. They feel like they've been unfairly treated here with this decision, so they're not even going to play in their bowl game. So they're refusing to go to a bowl game. Kansas State and Iowa State did the exact same thing. They each had to pay $500,000 in fines, but they also decided they don't want to go to a bowl game. Now, a couple years ago, which I still think is ridiculous, honestly, is that Florida State got left out of the playoffs as an undefeated conference championship from a Power 4 conference, the ACC at that time. They got completely left out. They played the Orange Bowl against Georgia and got obliterated because their team, basically all 22 starters, opted out of playing in that bowl game. So it was Florida State's second and third string versus Georgia's starters. And it was I believe it's a record for biggest blowout in a bowl game, if I'm not mistaken, like 63-7 or something like that. I would have supported Florida State sitting out of that bowl game because if you're going to be treated like that, you're going to be snubbed, because that actually is being snubbed out of the playoff. I don't know about Notre Dame, but you definitely are being snubbed by the committee. A couple years ago with Florida State, I would have opted out of that Orange Bowl and just not played it. That's your protest for being left out. I would have absolutely supported that, and I think that would have been the right move. But they didn't. got what they deserved, I guess, and they got destroyed. The Notre Dame isn't the same, but like I said, they opted out, so that's not happening. Notre Dame will not be playing in a bowl game, and honestly, anymore, sadly, especially if you're a certain age, these bowl games are meaningless anymore. They're just glorified scrimmages at the end of the day. Now, that's usually for the Power Four conferences. I say that the Kennesaw State, Western Michigan is not a waste of time anymore. I mean, this is a big deal for these kids, for both these teams. You're a conference champion. You're going to represent your conference and play against another conference champion. This has all the makings to be a good game. It does, and it seems like it matters to these teams. So I fully support that. What I don't love anymore is that all the other bowl games, it just doesn't seem like many people care about it. I don't blame them. But you have so many people that opt out of the bowl games, choose not to play in the bowl games. And just kind of, what bowl season used to be and what it is are just not the same. Bowl season used to be the best, to where you'd watch these great matchups and these teams you never see play against each other. And it mattered. They counted to them anyways, and it mattered to them about how you ended your season and how it kicked off your next season. But that's gone now, with many other things in college football. You have... also keep in mind that you have the portal happening in early January. So that's a whole nother thing, especially considering when these teams who are in the college football playoffs, the semifinals and the finals and all that stuff, that's already past the window, the opening of the window for the transfer portal. So it's like those teams suffer because they had a good season. They're playing in the conference, the college football championship games. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I think that, leaving Notre Dame out will cause some ripples for sure. I think that the way that this committee went about selecting these teams and how they ranked them throughout the year and all that stuff, I think all of that will have an impact, which will change some things. I think the complaints about the schedules will change some things. I think it was the coach from Texas Tech who yesterday said that, we should be finished with college football by the new year. By January. It should not bleed into second semester, and it really is. Now, that also affects when transfer portals can take place, because you've got to allow students to enroll before classes start. There's a whole lot of things. I mean, I think that it would make the most sense to go back to what it was, that you'd have the signing day was in February. And if you're going to do something with the transfer portal, it would have to be after the spring game. At least you would have an idea of what you need on your team. The players would have an understanding of where their place is on the team. It would make a lot more sense to do that after the spring game and open the portal then. But January this year it is, and so we'll have a few weeks in January to figure out all the moves and all that stuff and what these teams are shaping up for next year. But that's tough because it doesn't take in consideration any season-ending injuries that happen during spring practice or spring games and all that stuff. So, yeah, it'll be a fascinating affair for sure, and we'll watch it together for sure. But at the end of the day, as this podcast concludes, the Owls are champions. You are a champion. Congratulations. If you are a Kennesaw State supporter, your team, the team that you root for, is now a champion of their conference, their second year in Division I football. They are 10-3. They have had an amazing season. You've got a lot to look forward to and a lot of excitement with this team. And I'm just curious to see what happens. If this team at its core can stay together, with your playmakers, I think that you can have something very special even coming back for next year. I don't want to get ahead of us too much, but now you've done exactly what we've asked. Go back to the first couple podcasts I did. They're not great. The quality isn't good. I was definitely trying to figure out technology, but one thing I did say was, if you're building a program, you need to get out there. You need to get your name out there. You need to get that, to tap into that market a little bit, get your brand out there. So here's another example with this bowl game. Becoming bowl eligible gives you an additional opportunity to introduce yourself to the nation. This is a noon kickoff, which I don't love. I would have preferred it was a little bit later in the day, but at the same time, it's on ESPN. It's a national broadcast. It's another game. You are continuously being on larger broadcasts and getting your name out there so that Kennesaw State is a name that people know. Not only that, but also the way that you play. It's very exciting. The defense, again, the other night, terrific. I mean, just really good. Especially against the run. I mean, Cam Cook is a really good running back, and they shut that guy down. So I could not be more impressed with the mentality of how Kennesaw State went into the game the other night, and just what this team has built and what Coach Mack has built. I'm just really happy for him. I'm happy for this team. I'm happy for this community and this fan base. So let's keep supporting our team. Myrtle Beach, lovely. Go and support the Owls at Myrtle Beach on December the 19th. North Myrtle would be the place I'd recommend staying in. But yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I look forward to seeing you all there. Maybe we might have some live coverage prior to the game kicking off. So, Hooty Hoo, congratulations to the Owl. Congratulations to my audience. Thanks for taking this journey with me. I cannot believe it has turned out this well. I was really thinking we're looking at 6-6 this year, and just to defy expectations, I'll tell you what. I mean, just awesome. Just an awesome place to be in. And congratulations to this team, the players, the coaches, the community, the fans that supported this team, the bananas that have been in every single game, being as loud as they possibly could. Just so great to see, and just so happy for everybody involved. So continue to like and support the show. I'll continue to bring context. Wow. I'll continue to bring you content even in the off season. It won't be as regular, but we're still very much in the season. So I'll do something later this week. Just kind of go through the breakdown of the recruits that we're bringing in for next year from National Signing Day. I'll also kind of start looking ahead to the bowl game. I need to kind of dissect and see what Western Michigan's bringing to the table. I don't think one game against Miami of Ohio is enough to tell me what this team is, but I'll check it out. I'll bring it back to you, and we'll have that conversation. So I hope you all do well. Hope you have a great week, and we will talk to you soon. Hooty Hoo. Congratulations, Owls. All right. Bye-bye, guys.